Hey, survivors of the silent storm. If epic sister solidarity stories fuel your fire, hit subscribe and let's break chains together. I'll never forget the sound of that knock. 3 sharp raps on my apartment door at exactly midnight on a Tuesday, not the casual knock of a neighbor or the confident bang of a delivery person. This was desperate, urgent, the kind of knock that makes your heart stop before your brain catches up. I was in my pajamas about to brush my teeth when I heard it. My first thought was maybe someone had the wrong apartment. My second thought died the moment I opened that door. Jessica stood in my hallway, swaying like she might collapse any second. But it wasn't just that she was there unannounced at midnight. It was her face. Her left eye was swollen shut, the skin around it a deep purple that was already turning black. Her bottom lip was split and crusted with dried blood. But the worst part, the part that made my stomach drop to my feet, were the bruises on her neck. Dark fingerprint-shaped marks wrapped around her throat like some horrible necklace, showing exactly where someone's hands had been, where someone had squeezed. "Taylor," she whispered, and her voice was so broken, so small. Then her knees gave out. I caught her before she hit the ground, pulled her inside, slammed the door shut. My hands were shaking as I guided her to my couch. She was trembling all over, making these tiny gasping sounds like she couldn't quite remember how to breathe properly. Who did this? I already knew. I'd known for months that something was wrong, but Jessica had been so good at hiding it, at making excuses. "Jessica, who did this to you?" She just cried, deep, horrible sobs that shook her whole body. "Let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here, because this didn't happen overnight. Nothing this terrible ever does. Jessica and I are twins, identical, 28 years old, born 7 minutes apart, which I never let her forget because those 7 minutes make me the older sister. Growing up, people couldn't tell us apart. Even our Aunt Linda, who raised us after our parents died in a car crash when we were 12, would sometimes call me by Jessica's name and vice versa. But we were different where it counted. I was always the loud one, the fighter. The girl who got detention for punching Tommy Richards in 8th grade after he pulled Jessica's hair. Jessica was softer, kinder. She saw the good in everyone. Believed people could change, wanted to help and fix and heal. I became a kickboxing instructor. She became a kindergarten teacher. Perfect, right? Each of us doing exactly what fit our personalities. Then 4 years ago, Jessica met Ryan Carter at some charity event her school hosted. He was 32, successful, came from money, real estate developer with a nice smile and perfect manners. He donated a huge amount to the school and asked Jessica out the same day. I met him at their 3rd date. Jessica brought him to family dinner at Aunt Linda's house, and I knew immediately something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly. He said all the right things, complimented Aunt Linda's cooking, asked me about my gym. But there was something in his eyes when he looked at Jessica, something possessive, like she was a thing he'd acquired rather than a person he loved. I told Jessica my concerns the next day. Big mistake. She got defensive, said I was being overprotective, that I didn't like seeing her happy. We fought. Really fought for the first time in our lives. She stopped calling as much after that. They got married 10 months later. Quick, Ryan said, because when you know, you know. The wedding was beautiful and expensive and felt wrong to me the entire time. I was maid of honor, stood right next to my sister and watched her marry a man who had somehow in less than a year convinced her to quit her teaching job, move to his house in the suburbs, and cut back on unnecessary commitments like our weekly sister lunches. After the wedding, I saw less and less of Jessica. Phone calls became shorter. Visits stopped happening. There were always excuses. Ryan had work events she needed to attend. They were renovating the house. She wasn't feeling well. She was busy, but I'm her twin. We've always had this connection, this sense of each other, and I could feel something was wrong, even when Jessica smiled and said everything was perfect. The warning signs were small at first. Jessica wearing long sleeves in July, canceling plans at the last minute, that hollow look in her eyes when she thought no one was watching. The way she'd flinch if someone moved too quickly near her. How she started asking permission for things, saying Ryan thinks and Ryan says instead of having her own opinions. 6 months ago, I showed up at her house unannounced. Ryan answered the door, blocked it with his body, said Jessica was sleeping, and maybe I should call first next time. His smile never reached his eyes. I never got past that doorway. 3 months ago, I saw Jessica at the grocery store. I hugged her and she winced. I pulled back, asked if she was okay, and she laughed it off. Said she'd pulled a muscle at the gym. But Jessica didn't go to the gym. And when I touched her arm, I felt her flinch away from me. I started calling more, texting, trying to find ways to see her. Ryan was always there, always watching, always with some reason why Jessica couldn't meet me or talk long. I felt helpless, frustrated, scared. Then came that knock at midnight. Now she was on my couch crying so hard she could barely breathe. And I was getting ice wrapped in a kitchen towel for her face, trying not to shake with rage. "Talk to me," I said quietly, sitting next to her, gently holding the ice against her swollen eye. "Tell me everything." It took almost an hour. The words came out in broken pieces between sobs and long silences. How it started with small things. Ryan criticizing her clothes, her cooking, her friends. Then came the yelling, the controlling, tracking her phone, going through her messages, making rules about where she could go, who she could see, what she could spend money on. Then the pushing started, the grabbing, the slapping, always where people couldn't see, always with threats about what would happen if she told anyone. Tonight had been the worst. Dinner was cold because Ryan came home late without telling her. He grabbed her, shook her, then his hands found her throat and squeezed. She said she saw darkness closing in. Thought this was it. This was how she'd die. Then he let go, threw her against the wall, told her if she ever tried to leave, he'd make sure no one ever found her body. He had connections, money, a lawyer on retainer. Who would believe her? "I believe you," I said, holding my sister while she cried. "And he's going to pay for this." Jessica finally fell asleep around 3:00 in the morning, curled up on my couch under every blanket I owned. I'd cleaned her wounds as gently as I could. Given her pain medication, made her tea she barely touched. Now she was still, her breathing finally steady, and I sat in my kitchen in the dark, staring at nothing. Sleep wasn't happening for me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those bruises on her neck, those fingerprints. I kept thinking about how close I'd come to losing her. How if Ryan had squeezed just a little longer, just a little harder? My sister would be dead right now. The rage sitting in my chest felt like something alive, something burning and demanding action. But what action? Call the police. Jessica had no evidence except the injuries, and Ryan would have his story ready. He'd already proven he was careful, smart. He never hurt her anywhere visible when she had to leave the house. His house probably had security cameras he controlled. His family had money for the best lawyers. Any case would disappear, and Jessica would end up right back in that house with a man who'd nearly killed her. Only angrier now, more dangerous. I paced my small kitchen, my mind racing through possibilities and discarding them just as fast. Then I caught my reflection in the microwave door. Saw my face, Jessica's face, our identical face. The idea hit me like lightning. We were identical twins. Our own aunt mixed us up sometimes when we were kids. Same height, same build, same voice when we tried. What if we switched places? What if I went back to that house as Jessica and confronted Ryan myself? I was trained. I knew how to fight, how to defend myself. More importantly, I was not afraid of him. Let him try to put his hands on me. Let him try to control me. I'd show him exactly what happened when he picked on someone who could fight back. The more I thought about it, the more sense it made. Jessica was too scared to go to the police, too traumatized to face him again. But I could do this. I could get evidence, catch him in the act, record him confessing something concrete that his lawyers couldn't make disappear. When Jessica woke up around noon, I told her my plan. Absolutely not. She sat up too fast, winced at the pain. "Taylor, no, you don't understand what he's like. He's not just violent, he's smart. He watches everything. He'll know, he won't know. Jessica, we're identical. We've fooled people our entire lives. This is different. This is dangerous." Her hands were shaking. "If he figures it out, if something goes wrong, he could hurt you. He could kill you. Then I'll make sure he doesn't figure it out." I sat next to her, took her hands. "Listen to me. You can't go back there. And if you just disappear, he'll come looking. He'll make trouble. But if I go back as you, if I'm inside that house, I can get proof. Real proof that will put him away. You don't know what it's like," she whispered. "Living with him. Walking on eggshells every second, never knowing what will set him off. The rules, Taylor. He has so many rules. Then teach me. Teach me the rules. Teach me how to be you in that house. We have time." She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her brain working through the fear, trying to find holes in the plan. Finally, she asked, "Where would I go if you're pretending to be me? I can't just stay here." "Aunt Linda's place, 2 hours away. Ryan doesn't go there. You'll be safe." Jessica closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. Some tiny spark of hope I hadn't seen in months. "You really think this could work? I know it will work. Trust me." We spent the next 2 days preparing, and with every hour I understood more about the prison my sister had been living in. Jessica taught me everything. How Ryan liked his coffee exactly 6:30 in the morning, 2 sugars cream heated for 20 seconds in the microwave. How dinner had to be ready at precisely 6:30 in the evening. Not 6:25, not 6:35. How she wasn't allowed to password protect her phone. How she had to ask permission before spending money, even grocery money. How certain friends were allowed and others weren't. She showed me the layout of the house, the security system Ryan controlled from his phone, where he kept important documents, his schedule, his moods, his triggers. Don't contradict him, Jessica said. Even if he's wrong, even if he's being ridiculous, don't argue. Just apologize and agree. It's easier that way. That's not living, Jessica. That's surviving. I know her voice was so quiet. But that's all I've been doing for 2 years, just surviving. She taught me her mannerisms, how she'd started making herself smaller, keeping her eyes down, her voice soft. How she moved carefully through the house, trying not to make noise. How she flinched at sudden movements now, something she never used to do. I practiced until my jaw hurt from keeping my voice gentle instead of strong, until I could walk like I was trying not to take up space, until I could look at the ground instead of meeting eyes directly. We worked on my hair. Jessica's was shorter now, a bob instead of my long ponytail. She cut mine to match, and I barely recognized myself in the mirror. I looked like her. Soft, afraid, breakable. Jessica showed me the makeup she used to cover bruises. Foundation, 3 shades too heavy, concealer powder. She'd gotten good at it. Too good. How many times had she hidden his violence from the world? She gave me her wedding ring. I slipped it on and felt sick. This ring was supposed to mean love and partnership. Instead, it had become a shackle. On the second night, Jessica pulled out a small box from her purse. Inside was $3,000 in cash hidden in 20s and 50s. My escape money, she explained. I've been saving for 8 months, taking $20 here and there from grocery money. Ryan never checks receipts that carefully. I was going to run. I just never found the courage. You found the courage to come to me. I said that took everything you had. The morning I was supposed to go back, I drove Jessica to Aunt Linda's house first. Our aunt didn't ask many questions, just pulled Jessica into a tight hug and promised to keep her safe. The relief on Jessica's face when she realized she didn't have to go back to that house almost broke me. Now I was alone in Jessica's car, driving toward the Carter house. My hands gripped the steering wheel tight enough to hurt. In the driveway, I could see Ryan's black Mercedes. He was home early. I took a deep breath, checked my face in the mirror one more time. Soft expression, scared eyes, submissive posture. Let's see how you like fighting someone who fights back, I thought. Then I got out of the car and walked toward the front door of my sister's prison. The house was freezing, not temperature-wise, but in feeling. Everything looked perfect, like a magazine spread, cream-colored walls, expensive furniture, fresh flowers on the entry table. But there was no warmth, no personality, no life. I set my purse down carefully where Jessica said it belonged. On the bench by the door, not the table. Rules. Everything was rules here. I could hear Ryan's voice coming from his home office down the hall. He was on a phone call laughing about something. The sound made my skin crawl. This was the same voice that had threatened my sister. The same mouth that had told her he'd make her body disappear. I moved through the house quietly, taking everything in. The living room looked like a showroom. White couch that probably wasn't comfortable. Glass coffee table without a single fingerprint. Everything positioned just so. In the kitchen, the counters were completely clear. Not a dish out of place. Not an appliance visible. Jessica had told me Ryan hated clutter, but this was extreme. I found the bedroom upstairs. The closet told me everything I needed to know about this marriage. Ryan's clothes took up 3/4 of the space. Expensive suits, dozens of shirts still in dry cleaning plastic, rows of shoes. Jessica's things were crammed into one small corner. A few dresses, some jeans, basics, like she was a guest in her own home. The bathroom was the same. His cologne, his shaving supplies, his products dominating the counter. Her makeup bag tucked away in a drawer. I heard footsteps on the stairs and my whole body tensed. Training kicked in automatically. Assess the threat. Find exits. Prepare to defend. But I forced myself to relax, to remember I was supposed to be Jessica. Scared Jessica. Submissive Jessica. Ryan appeared in the doorway, and I got my first real look at the man who'd been torturing my sister. He was tall, maybe 62, well-built, like he spent time at the gym, dark hair styled perfectly, expensive watch, button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, handsome in that too-perfect way. The kind of man who looked like he had his life together, but his eyes cold, calculating, studying me. "You're home early," he said. Not a question, a statement with an edge to it. Already testing. I kept my eyes down like Jessica taught me. "I'm sorry. Should I have stayed out longer? Where were you?" "Grocery store. Getting things for dinner. I'd memorized this." Jessica had gone shopping yesterday before coming to my apartment. The groceries were still in my fridge, but Ryan wouldn't know that. He stared at me for a long moment. I could feel his gaze like something physical, searching for anything wrong or out of place. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral, scared, but trying to please. That's what he expected. "Fine," he finally said. "I have more calls, dinner at 6:30. "Of course, what would you like?" "Figure it out, that's your job, isn't it?" He walked away and I heard his office door close. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. First test passed. The afternoon crawled by. I made dinner constantly checking the clock. Chicken, roasted vegetables, rice. Simple. Jessica said Ryan hated anything too complicated or exotic. I set the table exactly how she'd shown me. Fork on the left, knife and spoon on the right, water glass at 1:00 position. At 6:25, I heard his office door open. My stomach twisted. He walked into the dining room at exactly 6:30, looked at the table, looked at me. "It smells bland," he said, sitting down. "I'm sorry, I can add more seasoning, don't bother, I'll eat it." He took a bite and I watched his face carefully. He chewed slowly, deliberately. "It's dry." "I'm sorry, you always apologize, but nothing changes." His voice was so casual, like he was commenting on the weather. "Why is that, Jessica? I'll do better, I promise." He ate in silence for a while and I barely touched my food. My appetite was gone. Every nerve in my body was screaming at me that I was in danger, sitting across from a predator. "You're moving differently today," he said suddenly. "Your posture is different." My blood went cold. "I don't know what you mean." "You seem tense, nervous more than usual." He set down his fork, leaned back in his chair. "Something you want to tell me?" "No, I'm just tired, tired." He said it like he didn't believe me. "Did you talk to anyone today? Your sister, maybe?" "No, just the store." "That's good because you remember what I said about your family. They don't respect our marriage. They try to turn you against me. It's better if you limit contact." I wanted to launch across this table. Wanted to show him exactly what I thought of his rules and his control, but I swallowed it down, nodded, apologized again. After dinner, I cleaned up while he watched television. Every movement felt watched, judged. When I finished, I sat on the opposite end of the couch, trying to stay small and unnoticed. Around 9:00, Ryan turned off the TV. "I'm going to bed." "Don't stay up too late." "Don't stay up too late." Like I was a child who needed a bedtime. I nodded, waited until I heard him go upstairs. I sat in that cold, perfect living room and thought about my sister living like this for years. Every day, walking on eggshells, every moment afraid. No wonder she'd looked so hollow. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Jessica from Aunt Linda's number. "Are you okay?" I typed back quickly. "Fine. He doesn't suspect anything yet. Be careful, please." I deleted the messages like Jessica taught me. Ryan checked her phone every night. Couldn't leave evidence. Around 10, I went upstairs. Ryan was already in bed reading something on his tablet. I went to the bathroom, changed into pajamas, came back out. That's when he grabbed my arm. His hand clamped around my wrist hard, yanking me toward the bed. I stumbled, my training screaming at me to counter to break his grip to defend myself. "I saw you texting," he said quietly, his grip tightened. "Who was it?" "Just Aunt Linda. She wanted to check in." "I told you to limit contact with your family." His fingers dug in harder. I could feel bruises forming. "Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't notice when you disobey me? I'm sorry. She just sent a quick message. I didn't want to be rude." He pulled me closer and I could smell the toothpaste on his breath. "You think you're clever, but I know everything that happens in this house. I know every lie you tell." He squeezed harder and I bit my lip to keep from reacting. "You belong to me. This house, your phone, your life, all of it belongs to me. Don't forget that." Then he let go, pushed me away slightly. "Go to sleep." I climbed into bed, my arm throbbing. In the darkness, I touched the bruises already forming and thought about Jessica enduring this, not just once, not just tonight, but over and over for 2 years. Not much longer, I promised silently. Just a little more time. The next week was a master class in psychological torture. Ryan didn't just control Jessica's life, he orchestrated it. Every detail, every moment, every breath had to meet his standards. I learned his patterns. Good days where he was almost charming, bringing home expensive gifts I didn't want. Flowers, jewelry, a new purse. Each gift felt like chains disguised as affection. He'd present them with this smile that expected gratitude, praise. Acknowledgement of how lucky I was to have him. Then the bad days, those came without warning. A towel hung wrong in the bathroom, taking 30 seconds too long to answer when he called my name, looking at my phone during breakfast. Each minor infraction resulted in punishment. Sometimes verbal, his voice dripping with contempt as he listed my failures. Sometimes physical, a shove, a grab hard enough to leave marks. Once he twisted my arm behind my back until tears came to my eyes, all because I'd bought the wrong brand of coffee. But I was documenting everything. Jessica had bought a camera pen months ago, too afraid to actually use it. I wasn't afraid. I recorded his tirades, his threats, the casual cruelty he displayed when he thought no one was watching. On day 3, I found what I was looking for, the locked drawer in his nightstand. It took me 2 hours of searching while he was at work to locate where he'd hidden the key. Inside a book on the shelf, hollowed out. Amateur move for someone who thought he was so clever. Inside the drawer was a folder with Jessica's name on it. My hands shook as I opened it. Screenshots of text messages, GPS tracking data showing everywhere Jessica had gone for the past year. Notes about her activities, who she talked to, how long she was gone. He'd been surveilling his own wife like she was a criminal suspect, like she was his property to monitor and control. There were bank statements, too. Jessica's name was on the accounts, but she had no access. Every purchase tracked, every dollar accounted for. I found the receipts for the groceries where she'd been skimming $20 at a time. He'd highlighted them, written question marks. He knew. He'd known she was hiding money and was probably waiting for the right moment to confront her about it. I photographed everything with the camera pen. Every page, every document, every piece of evidence that showed the depth of his control. Underneath the folder, I found something worse. A handwritten letter never sent in Ryan's writing. It was addressed to Jessica's principal at her old school. In it, he'd fabricated concerns about Jessica's mental health, her reliability, her fitness to work with children. He'd never sent it, but the threat was clear. If she ever tried to leave, if she ever fought back, he had weapons prepared. He could destroy her reputation, her career, her credibility. That night, I met secretly with a woman named Karen, a domestic violence advocate Jessica had consulted once. She'd given Jessica her card, and Jessica had hidden it in an old purse, too scared to ever call. I called. We met at a coffee shop 3 towns over while Ryan thought I was grocery shopping. Karen looked at the evidence, listened to my recordings, and her expression grew grimmer with each piece. "This is good," she said finally, "really good. But in court, his lawyers will argue the surveillance was protective, not controlling. They'll say he was worried about her, that tracking was consensual. The recordings help, but we need something ironclad. We need him to explicitly threaten or admit to abuse on record. Something his money can't explain away. How do I get that? You don't. It's too dangerous. Take what you have to the police now. Get a restraining order. Get your sister somewhere safe." But I knew that wasn't enough. Ryan's family had lawyers on retainer. They'd make this messy, expensive, drawn out. Jessica would spend years looking over her shoulder, afraid he'd find a way around the system, afraid he'd make good on his threats. I needed him to confess, to say it out loud where it couldn't be denied. By day 6, I'd found Jessica's emergency money still hidden in the tampon box where Ryan never looked. $3,000 that represented months of tiny rebellions. Little acts of hope that maybe someday she could escape. It broke something in me to realize she'd been planning to run but never found the strength. The patterns continued. Ryan's mood swings, his rules, his constant surveillance. He went through my phone every single night reading messages, checking call logs, demanding passwords to social media accounts. When Aunt Linda texted asking how I was doing, Ryan made me delete it in front of him. Forbade any response. "Your family doesn't understand our marriage," he said. "They try to interfere. It's better this way." I smiled, nodded, agreed, and inside I counted down the hours until this nightmare ended. Day 7 started normally enough. Ryan left for work. I cleaned the house to his standards, prepared dinner, kept myself small and obedient, but when he came home that evening, I could tell something was different. He'd been drinking, not falling down drunk, but enough that his eyes were unfocused, his movements loose. He was looking for a fight. "This place is a mess," he said, even though I'd spent 2 hours cleaning. "I'm sorry, I'll clean more. You're always sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything." He walked through the living room deliberately looking for problems. Found a magazine on the coffee table. "What's this doing here? I was reading it." "I'll put it away. You were reading." He picked up the magazine, threw it across the room. "While I'm working all day paying for everything, you're sitting around reading magazines." No, I just took a short break. Don't lie to me. His voice jumped to a shout. I can see the lies on your face. You think I'm stupid. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text. Ryan's head snapped toward the sound. Give me your phone, Ryan. Probably just give it to me now. I handed it over, my heart racing. He looked at the screen, his face transformed into something ugly. Your sister. You've been talking to your sister. His hand shot out before I could react, grabbing my phone and throwing it against the wall. It shattered. I told you no contact. I told you. She just sent a message. I haven't responded. You're lying. You've been lying this whole time. He moved toward me and every instinct screamed danger. Who are you really talking to? What are you planning? Nothing, I promise nothing. His hand came up and connected with my face, a hard, vicious slap that snapped my head to the side. Pain exploded across my cheek. I tasted blood from my split lip. But something happened, something he didn't expect. I didn't crumple, didn't cry, didn't apologize. I slowly turned my head back to face him. My eyes weren't Jessica's frightened ones. They were mine. Cold, furious, done. Wrong twin, I said quietly. Ryan's confusion lasted exactly 1 second. Then rage replaced it and his hand came up for another strike. But this time I was ready. I blocked his arm, trapped his wrist, and used his own momentum against him. Years of training took over. I stepped into his space, hooked my leg behind his, and flipped him. His back hit the hardwood floor with a sound that knocked the air from his lungs. Before he could recover, I dropped down, knee pressed hard against his chest, pinning him. My phone was out recording. Positioned so the camera caught both our faces. Say it, I commanded. My voice was nothing like Jessica's, nothing soft or scared. Say what you've been doing to my sister. Say how you've been hitting her, controlling her, threatening her. Say it all now. Ryan's eyes went wide. He tried to buck me off, but I pressed down harder, using my weight and position. He was stronger, but I knew leverage. I knew technique. Get off me, he thrashed, his face turning red. You crazy. Get off. Say it. Admit what you did to Jessica. I don't know what you're talking about. But his eyes told a different story. He knew exactly what I meant. Where's my wife? What did you do with Jessica? She's safe. Somewhere you'll never touch her again. Now talk. Tell me why you hurt her. Tell me what you did. He stopped struggling for a moment and I watched his brain work. Calculating. He was always calculating. This is insane. You're assaulting me in my own home. I could have you arrested. Really. You want to call the police? Please do. I'd love to show them the folder in your nightstand. All that surveillance data, the tracking, the control, every text message you monitored, every place you followed her. That's stalking, Ryan. That's illegal. His face went pale. You went through my things, just like you went through Jessica's things every single day. Feels different when it happens to you, doesn't it? He tried to buck again harder this time. Got one arm partially free. His hand grabbed at my throat, and for a second I understood the terror Jessica must have felt. Those fingers pressing, trying to squeeze. But I wasn't Jessica. I grabbed his thumb, bent it back at an angle that made him scream and release. Then I had both his wrists pinned, my knee digging harder into his chest. You like hurting people smaller than you, I said. People who are scared, people who can't fight back. How does it feel now? How does it feel to be the one pinned down? She deserved it. The words exploded out of him, rage overriding his calculated control. She's my wife. She's supposed to obey me, respect me. But she was always sneaking around, hiding things, planning to leave. I had every right to discipline her. Discipline her? My voice was deadly quiet. Is that what you call choking her until she passed out, hitting her, threatening to make her body disappear? She pushed me to it. If she'd just listened, if she'd just done what she was supposed to do, none of this would have happened. I gave her everything. A beautiful home, money, status. And how did she repay me? By being ungrateful. By talking to her family behind my back. By being a human being, I cut him off. By wanting basic freedom, basic respect. You can't prove anything. His voice changed, became calculated again, even pinned beneath me. Even if you recorded this, which I'm sure you did, my lawyers will tear it apart. I was attacked in my own home. I said whatever I had to say to get you off me. It's coercion. It won't hold up. You really think you're that smart, don't you? I know I am. And when I get up from here, you and your sister are both going to regret. The front door burst open. Police officers flooded in. 3 of them followed by Karen, the domestic violence advocate. They moved quickly, professionally surrounding us. Taylor, step back, please, one officer said to me. I stood, moved away, my legs shaking now that the adrenaline was fatting. Ryan started to get up, already shifting into his charming mode, his public face. Officers, thank God you're here. This woman broke into my home and attacked me. I want to press charges immediately. She's dangerous, clearly unstable. Ryan Carter. The lead officer cut him off. Yes, And I'm telling you, you're under arrest for domestic violence, assault, unlawful imprisonment, stalking, and terroristic threats. The officer pulled out handcuffs. You have